Okay, so the next assignment is called a Civil Law Defenses Presentation. You're going to create a PowerPoint presentation on the types of defenses used in defamation of character, negligence, unintentional, and intentional torts cases. You must give one example of the application of each defense for each category. A defamation of character, negligence, unintentional, and intentional torts. Okay, so it's basically you're creating a presentation that tells someone how they would defend themselves against accusations or civil litigation brought up against them. Okay. Right. So basically, when we're marking the assignment, we're looking at these specific things. For knowledge of content, I know what the legal defenses are for defamation of character, negligence, unintentional, and intentional torts. That's through your outlines and rough drafts. And me talking to you, I give a mark, get a mark based on your responses. Next is use of critical thinking process. I know that I must provide one example for each of the major categories of defense, which means defamation of character, negligence, unintentional, and intentional torts. And we'll talk more about that. But basically what I'm saying is that you need to have, for every major character, you have to have an example of what that defense would be. But I'll talk more about it when I go over the success criteria. Use of planning skills. I know that my PowerPoint should include a brief description of the defense using proper legal terminology. So you have to be able to tell me what the defense is and use the right terms for it. That I know that my PowerPoint must use language that is clear, easy to understand, and in point form. So remember, this is a point form for PowerPoint presentation. I don't want sentences, I don't want paragraphs, do bullet notes. Expression and organization of ideas and information. I know that my PowerPoint must use proper spelling and grammar, right? So just making sure that you're following the same rules. Even though it's not a sentence, you should be able to spell the words correctly, and the sentence should make enough sense. The clear, the bullet point should make enough sense so that clear and everyone understands them. And the last part is I know that I must use the legal research process, which means gather research, organize thoughts into a legal argument position, present legal argument position in order to complete my assignment. For evaluation, the work must be done in front of my teacher when possible. So it's just, again, just saying, hey, you got to make sure that I see what's going on and know what's happening. Let's start the new share, which is going to break down the success criteria. All right, so again, the question, I'm going to repeat it again, but the goal is the following: to create a PowerPoint presentation on the defense used in civil court proceedings dealing with defamation of character, negligence, unintentional, and intentional tort cases, to identify defenses used in civil court. So step one is research. You want to gather information about the defenses used in the four major categories of tort law. Defamation of character, negligence, unintentional, and intentional torts. The information can be found in textbook Law in Action, chapters 14 and 15. So the chapters we've been going over, all the information is there. So you just need to go back and find defenses. There's even pages that tell you the defenses for this, defenses for that. You just make sure you understand what all those concepts are. You want to organize information. List all the defenses for all the categories. For each category, choose a defense that you want to highlight. Search for an example or case study that applies to a specific defense. Each category focuses on defense must be different. So what I think I'm asking here is that for a certain case, you might, let's say, a defense for unintentional tort, there may be 4 different types of defenses. Choose one to sort of give an example of. If I understand that correctly. But you should be able to find each one and give me and explain how each one can be used. But one you're going to spend a little bit more attention to and sort of focusing on. The outline is as follows. MLA, first slide is the MLA format title page. Second slide is the summary goals of the PowerPoint. Third slide is what is tort law. Then you're going to, for slides 4 to 7, you're going to talk about the definition of character. You're going to define the term. You're going to identify and explain all defenses. Choose one of the defenses to focus on and providing a detailed example or case study that applies to that defense. So yes, so if there are 4 different types of defenses for defamation of character, you're going to focus on the truth. Or for one of the things you're going to focus on and give more detail would be either the truth or fair comment or whatever it is, right? So some are just, here's the defenses, here's an example of it, here's what the defense is, this is what it means, And one of them is like, look, here's truth. Truth is this. Here's a case study including truth, or here's a more detailed example of how truth is used in selling civil or as a defense against this specific type of tort. Slides 8 to 10, negligence, define the term, identify the examples, explain all defenses, and again, choose one to focus on, providing a detailed example or a case study that applies to that defense. Then unintentional torts, define the term, explain all the defenses of it, and then choose the one defense to focus on, providing a detailed example. Slides 14 and 16, do the same thing with intentional torts, and again, you are explaining all the defenses and then focusing on one with either a case study or a detailed example of how the defense applies in court, right? And then you're done. So that's the structure of how it's supposed to be done. Does anyone have any questions about this specific assignment? Okay, so again, remember, each one of them have numerous types of defenses, each one, so negligence may have 4 or 5. You tell which all that they are, you give example, define which all of them are, but one you would say you focus on and either use a detailed example or a case study. In the textbook, all the information is there. The textbook also has case studies that you could pull upon or more detailed examples of that, okay? And that's what you do in your proper presentation. So you have 4, you're gonna have a bunch of defenses, and you're going to have for each major category, you're going to explain one in greater detail. Okay? Yeah. Is everything okay online? You guys get it?
Yeah.
Okay, speak up. Sorry, I can barely hear you. Who just said, yeah, I can barely hear them?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay. All right, so you have that. So looking at Money's class, what I want to do is in Money's class, I'm going to finish up civil law, and then we'll probably move on to criminal law a little later in the week. And hopefully I can get to that relatively quick. So civil law, I still have to talk about the basic, I went to torts right away, but I have to sort of identify the concept of civil law, and we can talk about each of the different types of, I think most people know the different types of civil law, and then we'll talk about the actual procedure, the plaintiff, the defendant, what they're called, their names, and then just general information about that on Monday. Okay, so you have the rest of the period to sort of start on any one of those things you need to do for law. If you have any questions, I'm here, just give me a shout. And I'm going to stop the share, stop the recording.